What's up, fellow engineers? Dr. McKay here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be test launching the SLS, NASA's new moon rocket that I have built here in Space Engineers. Now, I have done a live stream build of the SLS on Twitch, so if you managed to catch any of that, you can see how much of a complicated build it is. But before we actually get on and test fly and basically show off the SLS, if you like my content, please hit that like button. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. It does mean a lot if you do. So with all that out of the way, this is the SLS, or should I say the Space Launch System that NASA is currently, I think they built one and they're building parts of many others, but obviously the first one should be launched this year unmanned towards the moon. Right, but obviously this is the Block 1 or Block A, whichever preference you want. I think it's Block 1, right, which is essentially the SLS, 2 solid rocket boosters plus the Orion capsule at the top. Now Block 2 is slightly bigger. I don't think it tapers, but we're not going to go into that much detail. And obviously there's my Saturn V that you're all familiar with, that I brung in just for a size comparison. Now I think it's slightly taller than the SLS by like 10 blocks. But obviously I don't really want to get too particular with measuring, but essentially they are the same size rockets. The SLS is slightly smaller, but I think it's more powerful, just because of the SRBs, and not to mention the 4 RS-25 engines on the bottom, which are from the space shuttle. But essentially we're not here to look at my Saturn V, we're here to showcase off my SLS. Alright, now obviously I'll show you on the second one, because that's my blueprint one. I want a blueprint, so in case anything goes wrong I can tweak it on that. But I've done a bit of testing and it should work fine. So this is essentially the stand. Obviously the rocket itself is a 1:1 scale. It's approximately 112 meters high from bottom of the engines to the top of the launch tower. Its diameter is 8.5 meters. Obviously the core to the stage is approximately 152 blocks by 17 blocks wide. And then obviously the Orion capsule and trunk, which is up the top there, it's where it tapers in. It's approximately 70 blocks high by 10 blocks wide. The boosters, however, they are 108 blocks tall by 8 blocks wide, and the tower is not the launch tower, the escape tower at the top is 7 blocks high by 3 blocks wide. Now obviously, considering the small block is 0.5 meters, you just double it. So essentially, we should be right. Was it double or was it half? I think half it. Yeah. So you half them. So you'll see you got to double it from whatever. So you're looking at about, roughly what it is in real life. Now obviously for engines we have 4 large grid small engines, so we have a bit of a merge inside of large grid small grid, so when it does launch it does knock about. Don't worry, it's not going to break. Clang has been very graceful with this build. He hasn't destroyed it, but essentially it is large grid small engines attached inside by a hinge, and then obviously it goes up. I'll show you the inside in a minute. And then for the solid rocket boosters we have 4 small grid large engines. I was going to put a large small grid on, but I thought I don't want to go too complicated. Now for the actual launch base and tower we have flame trench, because why not. We have obviously fuel connectors up to the solid rocket boosters and core stage, we'll show you in a minute. And obviously we have our little fuel reservoir there, which is just there. Obviously all fuel is connected up all the way, and we have obviously my standard signs obviously of what the rocket is and made by me. So let's give you a little tour of the actual rocket on the outside before we take it for a spin. So obviously I've tried to do the design pretty accurate to what I've seen on the internet of the renders of the rocket. obviously we have this nice little outside pipe. Boosters are 5 segments because they're 5 segmented SRBs, and we have fuel connectors roughly where they will be on the actual rocket itself, you know, minus the solid rocket boosters, because solid rocket boosters use a solid rocket fuel that don't need, it's not liquid fuel, it's like a gel type paste that is stuffed into the SRBs, and once lit you can't turn them off, you know. So obviously, yeah, one there. So one would be like hydrogen, the other one would be oxygen. I think that's the fuel composition of the SLS. Yeah, and then we have a fuel connector going in here for the second stage, hydrogen. Yeah, but I think it was like a mix again, but just one. And then we have going into our service module for the Orion capsule, another connection. Now these connections all disattach automatically upon launch, so you don't have to worry about doing that. And we do have a crew arm as well. Right, now we have a fairing piece here covering the service module. That's why it looks a little bit blocky, because we've got lots of merge blocks, and you do not want to bridge a merge block, otherwise we wouldn't give it merge. Obviously got a NASA decal there, an American flag decal there, and then obviously on the top we have a nose cone with launch tower that for some reason it doesn't seem to want to fire. So I'm just going to leave it as it is in case you guys can figure it out. But there is fuel, there's batteries, there's timer block, there's engines. It just doesn't seem to want to work. So we have to kind of like nudge it off when it detaches. But that's essentially the outside of the rocket. And obviously the tower again is large grid. I didn't want to do a mistake of doing small grid like I did on the Saturn V. So it's large grid, and I use these grated like catwalks as a feature, which looks pretty nice. I quite like it. It gives it that like metallic, like, you know, construction feel that the NASA launch towers kind of have. Yeah. So I'll quickly take you inside of the main core and show you what I've got inside, so you can see why I've done it. So I've got lots of engines. I've got reverse thrust for boot like separation. I've got gyros, lots of fuel, got RCS, and I do have some downwards thrust here. But obviously down through the floor, which I do not have a door. Yes, I do. Yeah, we come inside and you can see where I've merged it together, large grid, small grid. If I can get through the door, that is. There you go. So it's on a hinge, goes to small grid. So this whole bottom section here is large grid, and that's why it knocks about a bit. So don't worry about it when you're launching, it's not going to break. Now the launch is all automated, so you don't have to worry about doing anything, but once we get flying, I'll tell you a little few tips so you can avoid certain things. Let me get out of here now. Where's the door? There's the door, there's the door. So that's the booster, no, not booster, the core stage. Now the boosters don't have doors, but essentially it's the same type of design inside. Except for we do have, where are they at? I think I might have covered them over. Yeah, I did. Well, there's well, you'll see upon separation of the boosters. You know, that's essentially the rocket. Let's take you up now and test fly it and show you how to work it. Now, obviously, if you didn't have a jetpack, you'd be like an astronaut, and this would be a functioning elevator, not just a tube that you have to use jetpack in. So coming up, all the way to the top, because there's only one way you can go. Right. I put this sign here to remind myself and everyone else who wants to use this rocket that you're gonna have to convert to ship, otherwise it does not detach from the merge block. Alright, now we do have a launch crew arm, right? But you have to manually move this one. Now you can move it here, yeah. And I've got a nice little feature, which is completely unintentional, but when it closes, it creates another barrier, so you can't run off the edge. How cool is that? I was unintentional, did not mean to do that, but here we go. So move the tower, crew arm back, walk across the catwalk, come across the crew arm, come inside. To your left there's a button to move the crew arm away. Once the crew arm is away, shut the door. It's not airtight inside, so forgive me if you can figure that out. Please let me know in the comments. Get in the left cockpit. Up on the D-pad is launch. Down is second stage separation, which is separate because obviously the second stage takes you to the moon. So I thought I'd leave that separate. Right on the D-pad is the capsule separation, and left is parachute. Alright, so we have to convert to ship, so we've got to remember to do that. Convert to ship. Convert to ship. Get a nice angle. Alright. Now we're going to press up on the D-pad, and we should have an auto launch sequence, and the tower arms should all move. So 3, 2, 1, launch. So engines on. Nice. Arms should separate. Now. And pad release. Go, off we go. Like I said, that knocking about is just the large grid inside. So we got a pitch to make sure our horizon line is below us. So we're facing like this. Make sure it's below us, which it is, because everything plummets down to the ground from behind. I do have the speed mod on, so everything is tweaked to the speed mod. Obviously, if you don't have the speed mod on, you need to go into the timer blocks and just change the timings for the SRBs and core stage separations. That is it. Yeah. So once we get to about, I think it's 0.70 G, the boosters separate. And they do look nice when they separate. And then, like 10 seconds after the boosters separate, it's the fairings. So they're going to boosters. Oh yeah, they're nice. Right, they're boosters. Next bit is the fairings. Now we have to do a little bit of a wobble here for the fairings. Alright, there's the fairings detached. Something broke. There's the second stage core release. And now we're basically on our own power. So you have to press it up to keep going up. So we're on basically the lunar transfer stage. So obviously this stage is the one that takes you to the moon. But in our case, it'll take you to 0G. Obviously the core and that should fall down harmlessly, but just in case it doesn't, let's just delete it, because like I said, it goes basically straight down to where it goes. I'll do the same with the SRBs, just to basically clean up as I go, because if they crash, they probably create a boom, so I don't want it to. I haven't quite figured out how to separate hinges with a ping, so okay, remove that. Alright, so still going up. We're almost in 0G. Just remember, there's no reverse thrust, because in rockets there is no reverse thrust, because essentially you could do a flip and burn maneuver, which essentially, once I get to 0G, I'll show you. So obviously we're now going at 258 meters a second, which is like the top of the speed mod. Almost in 0G. Alright, 0G, so you flip and burn, so you turn around and then you burn in the opposite direction to slow down. That's essentially what you would do in real life. Because there's no point putting engines on the front of your rocket, because you don't really need it. And obviously, futuristic rockets that you can't do a flip and burn, then you possibly could. But you could also do like a gravity deceleration burn. Essentially what they do in a way around the moon. Now we're at 0G and 0 meters a second. Alright, we want to now do the second stage separation. So imagine if you're on the way to the moon. Yeah, you've expelled all your fuel from the second stage to get into the moon's gravity, or on the way to the moon's gravity. Now we want the Orion and service module. So you press down, and it separates perfectly. But fortunately, because timer blocks stopped kind of working, the reverse thrusters on the second stage just keep on going. So that'll just be gone now. Oh yeah, lots of debris now. Gotta find it. That's what I am in. That's the nose cone, so we can remove the nose cone. There you go, that's the second stage. Remove that one. Now we're the Orion and service module, minus the solar panels, because we need some like smaller solar panels, like 1 block solar panels. But again, this one moves. Obviously, it's got hydrogen for left and right, but up and down is ion because I couldn't fit tubes in. But we're in space, so you don't really need much more than ion, and it works. And again, flip and burn to stop if you want. And there we go. This is the Orion capsule again. Oh, there's a hole there. It's probably the damage that's caused. Doesn't matter, we can fix it. Like I said, you just got to be a bit careful when disengaging or wiggling away from the fairings. Let's head that back down now to the launch site. Full throttle. And I'll do the capsule separation and landing, and then we're done. And you guys can then have a play with it and let me know what you think. Maybe you can do a Saturn V plus SLS launch and see who wins. Right, now we're in the planet's gravity. Best way to do this, in my opinion, because the capsule has no rockets, just falls. Maybe turn to the side like that, and then separate. There you go. And now we do ass first. And what we'll do is I'll speed it up and I'll see you in a minute. And we're back. So as you see, we're coming right down by the launch tower, and we're going to put the parachutes on now. And we're going to touch down. Boom. Sweet. And that, my friends, is the SLS, obviously minus the moon bit, SLS launch. And that's all that's left. So, millions and millions of dollars on a rocket, and the only thing that really is returned is the capsule. I'm not sure if the boosters are going to land in the ocean and get refurbished and reused like the shuttle did, but I'm not quite sure. But there you have it then, folks. That is the SLS. And now, like I said, there's a few like minor things that you got to do, like convert the ship, move the crew arm, and adjust your pitch and roll, and then when the fairings deploy in the tower, you have to kind of wiggle it off without being too dramatic so nothing breaks. I did have a system set up to have this pull the nose cone off, but as soon as it disconnects, it doesn't work, so I don't know. If you can figure it out, please let me know in the comments below. All that said though, that is the SLS. Again, thank you again for watching. Until the next time, I've been Dr. McKay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.